I'll discuss my lawsuits for the right price and some Taco Bell. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I'm here to review the season 6 premiere, episode 1 of The Real Housewives Accusing Other Women of Doing Business by Sucking Dick of Salt Lake City. So we start the season off Salt Lake City style with a dramatic foreshadowing of what's to come for the rest of the season. And typically, unfortunately, we get Heather Gay narrating the intros, but it seems like she's been demoted and now we upgraded to Mary Cosby. So now we hear Mary in the background talking about love, bonding, trust, real friendships, all while we see the cast on their first cast trip, which is this episode. They're in the woods, they're walking around, they're screaming, they're scared, and the whole thing is shot like a horror movie. It looks very creepy, all while we keep jumping to the future and then coming back to this cast trip. And I've said it before, but it's only a matter of time before the main storyline becomes the whole entire cast trying to cover up a murder and trying to hide the body. Like, I just feel like that's the direction that we're going in because these intros are so dramatic. So then we see Eliza Thornberry inside her RV. She's pulling up to this house and we have the return of Angie K. LMNOP this season. And we also get a glimpse of the updated intro. It's about damn time, bravo. We have Angie K. She is center snowflake. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional talking about this because, remember when Angie K used to be an annoying extra in the background with her big ass binoculars? She would come around so thirsty and desperate for camera time and attention and trying to get a spot on the show, and we just wasn't having it. Like, go away, Angie, like nobody wants to see you. And now look at her. Just a second ago she was the first seat at the reunion. Now she's center snowflake, like a pillar in our community, like. Meanwhile, speaking of the intro, did anybody see where Meredith and Lisa were placed in the intro? We have Heather continuously trying to be forced down our throats. She's next to Angie K in the middle, but then we see Meredith and Lisa, they're all the way back there. I'm like, is that Lisa Barlow? Like, and she was the main topic at the premiere, but yet Lisa's all the way back there with Meredith. Like, that, the disrespect is crazy, but Angie K is back. She's like, I know you wouldn't typically think that I'm a girl to use a RV, but my husband, Suspicious Sean, he convinced us to buy us one. I bet you he did. I bet you your husband, Suspicious Sean, did convince you to buy an RV. Isn't that where he had his circle jerks with other men? She pulls up to Mary Cosby's house. Mary comes out. She's full-time this season. She's looking at the RV like, what's going on here? And Angie K explains that she wants to surprise the rest of the cast with a cast trip, but they're assuming that they're going somewhere hot and tropical when really they're just going into the woods. And Mary, she's just like, I need to get this Bravo check. I need to get this watch. So let's just get in and let's just go. So off they go to the iconic location, Beauty Lab, where the rest of the cast is standing around like cheap hookers. We already have Bronwyn already wearing a questionable outfit. I'm not sure whose grandmother's quilt she stole to, make it into an outfit, but it was interesting to look at. We see Meredith. Hey, Meredith, she's back this season. How are you? We see Heather Gay. Hey, hi, Heather. Nice to see you. We see Whitney. And Whitney, I'm onto your tricks. I'm onto your shenanigans. She dyed her hair from blonde to now red, this orangey color. It does look nice on her. But I see what you're doing. I know how you think. I know how you speak. I know how you are. Because this whole thing is just a way to manipulate the producers. Why? Walk with me, right? I feel like last season, she was about to get her, termination papers. Like, you know what? We're going to melt your snowflake. We don't want you back this season. Just go away. But Whitney, she quickly thought, okay, if I dye my hair, the producers are not going to notice that I'm still on the cast. And they're probably going to think that I'm a new housewife named Whitney, coincidentally, right? So I'm just going to dye my hair and that's that. Either that or I feel like she probably went up to Andy Cohen like, you know what? This season for season 6, I'm going to dye my hair and that's going to be my storyline. I'm going to say, I'm going through a healing journey and, I dyed my hair and that brings me peace to my life. Like, I'm calling it now. I feel like that's going to be her storyline this season, but it does look nice on her, especially in the confessional with the baby blue top. It just clashes really nicely. We also see the return of Pamela Anderson, aka Britney. She's back this season, still a friend. No snowflake for you yet, Britney, and honestly, I hope they keep it that way, because the more they dangle it in front of her, the more she's desperate to do anything and say anything in front of the cameras just to get one. Like, here you go, Britney. No, just kidding. Here you go, Britney. Psych. here you go, Britney. No, maybe next season. You're still a friend. Like, it just works for her. Now, the person who's not here is Miss Taco Bell herself, Lisa Barlow. Now, allegedly, the reason why she wasn't here, she wasn't filming, was from what I saw on Twitter and online, is that supposedly she was negotiating her contract and she wanted an upgrade. She wanted a boost in her, her paycheck. And honestly, I feel like she deserves it. I mean, because look, it's the premiere of season 6. She was the main topic and she wasn't even there. And honestly, should I say this? But to me, she's my personal favorite out of everybody on the show. Like, I'm sorry, but Lisa, her delusion. I mean, she's delusional, she's crazy, she throws a tantrum. She's so self-absorbed. Me. Like, she just works on this cast. Like, all of them have a specific element that, it makes the show what it is. And Lisa is needed. Like, her presence, to me, it was missing. Like, it was noticeable, at least to me. But they're all like, wait, where's Lisa? What's going on? So Meredith, she's like, she's not here. I'm sorry. She's disengaging. She's not here. Lisa Barlow is not going to be here for specific reasons. I'm not sure why, but she's not here. So they're like, damn it, there goes our damn storyline. So then next thing you know, we see Angie K. LMNOP. She pulls up with the RV. They're looking at her like, wait, what is this? I thought we were going somewhere, tropical. So then Angie, she comes out and she's like, we're going camping. And they're like, okay, we didn't pack for this. What is going on? And then we see Pamela Anderson, Britney. She goes up to Angie and she's like, but what about me? She's like, but look. And then she opens up her trench coat and she has nothing on but a bikini. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's a sneaky link outfit. If you know, right? You ever texted somebody, after midnight, around 1 o'clock, 1:30 to be specific, like, hey, are you still up? And they text you like, yeah, come over. So then you're doing 100 on the highway. You show up with nothing but a trench coat, with nothing on but a nice pair of panties. Specifically, they have to be black or, red. And then, they open up the door and you're like, are you willing, to let me in? It's kind of like that scene from the movie Obsessed with Idris, my ex-husband, and what's her name? The other girl where she just opens up her trench coat. And she was wearing those grandma panties. That's what this was. I'm like, Britney, where did you, like, even if you were going somewhere tropical, like, what plane were you going to get on where they were just going to let you on with a trench coat with nothing on underneath? Like, that is crazy, but okay. So she's like, I thought we were going somewhere nice and high. And Angie's like, well, I mean, you assumed wrong. We're going camping, and I just think that it's gonna be a fun activity. So they're like, okay, fine, whatever, let's get on. So they get in the Sprinter van, the RV. And the RV, it looks big from the outside, but then once you're inside, this is a big cast. They're just squeezed in there like sardines. Next thing you know, we get a flashback, or at least that's what it's looking like, because we see a bunch of men start surrounding the RV in SWAT gear. And I'm like, what is going on? What is happening? Who are they arresting here? And I'm like, I started doing the process of elimination. Like, okay, Mary, no. Heather, no. I mean, she's annoying, but they can't arrest her for that. Whitney, they might arrest her for her questionable jewelry last season. Bronwyn, could they arrest you for having horrible taste in fashion? I don't think so. So I'm like, who are they here for? So of course, Heather, she goes out there like, what can I do for you, young gentlemen? Like, Heather is too dumb. Must be nice to feel that comfortable, right? Because she did it again. 4 years ago, we see a flashback when the whole thing happened with the whole Jen Shah situation. And I'm like, it's so crazy that even happened. I cannot believe it's been 4 years. So they're like, we're looking for Whitney Rose. And I'm like, yes, Whitney's leaving the show. Whitney's leaving the show. No, I love Whitney. I love all of them. So Whitney, of course, she comes out and she's like, hi guys, are you here to be my new besties or something? What does your uniform say? SWAT. SWAT. So yeah, are you the SWAT team? And they're like, we're here to arrest you because, and then they handcuff her, and I'm like, she's really leaving the show. Like, this is crazy. Like, bye, Whitney. You dyed your hair for nothing. We're like, we're arresting you for being a bad girl. And I'm like, what? Next thing you know, they start dancing, they start moving around, they rush the RV, they get in. And honestly, I mean, read the room, because I mean, they could have been dressed as anything else, like the Power Rangers, the Teletubbies, anything else. But the SWAT team, with everything going on right now, I would not feel comfortable even if this was a prank, because we find out that Whitney hired them, through Angie K's husband, Sean, because Sean knew them. And they're alleged strippers that Sean knew, allegedly. No, I'm just kidding, Sean. I'm just playing around. I love you too. But Whitney, she set this whole thing off in motion as a prank, right? So now they're in there, they're dancing, they're taking off their shirts and everything. And again, this would have been nice in a different setting, but they're in a really crammed RV. So, one of them is dancing on the microwave, the other is twerking on the refrigerator. I think I saw one of them almost dancing in the front seat, because they were that packed. We saw Bronwyn with her questionable outfit. She's trying to throw money like, here's $20 that my husband gave me because I don't have money for myself. And they're just dancing all around. And then one of them is trying to handcuff Mary. I'm like, and Mary is me. She was just like, you don't even know me. That is me playing hard to get with anybody. Which, speaking of, I know I haven't uploaded anything in almost 2 months, and there's a couple of reasons why. One of the reasons, if you remember in my last video that I uploaded, I had mentioned that I was going on vacation to Chicago, right? So I went to Chicago. I fell in love with Chicago. It is beautiful, beyond beautiful, so much fun. It was just really, really, really nice. I love Chicago. And ironically, I was there just to be there, right, for vacation, but I didn't know there was a gay festival going on. And I'm like, ooh, okay, let me go to it. So, it was fun. I was dancing at the club, this, that, and the third. I met these two guys and, come to find out that they were in a relationship, right? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Next thing you know, one of them was trying to get with moi. Get with this. And I'm like, I was looking at their boyfriend and I'm like, I can understand why, you want to go from that, to this, this is top choice right here. So I completely get it. But does he know, is he okay with this? He was just like, yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, now, am I okay with this? Because I'm classy. I don't get down with these shenanigans or whatever. I'm mature, I'm mature and, I don't do these type of, games anymore or whatever. So I was just like, okay, but I wasn't really feeling him like that or whatever. I was just like, next thing you know, he grabs my hand, my finger specifically. And again, we're in the nightclub, right? And he wants to put my finger up his booty hole. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I just got my nails done. I'm not trying to have my nails smell like, like shit or whatever. I'm not even sure of the situation. I haven't even, checked the premises or whatever to make sure that everything was good and clear and clean. So, did I do it? That's none of your business. But, just use context clues, for the answer. But eventually the strippers get off the RV. I believe they made $5 and off the cast goes into the woods. Here goes Bronwyn. It's so tiny in this RV and I'm a germaphobe. Bronwyn, have you not seen how your disrespectful husband looks like? You touched that, yet now you want to be a germaphobe? Okay. So they're discussing how long it's going to take to get into the creepy woods. They're like, oh, it's going to be this way. We're going this way. It's about an hour away. Here goes Pamela Anderson. Oh, I think we're going to drive by my house. Here goes Mary. Oh, so we could drop you off. Oh, the way they treat Britney, but Britney, she kind of just goes along with it, right? She's like, Mary, that's not nice. So then Ginger Spice, right? She starts bringing up the main topic, Lisa Barlow. I want to talk about the latest episode of Scooby-Doo, but did anybody hear about Lisa Barlow and her business? And I'm like, Whitney, were you not the same person just last season and the season before that who was upset with people coming at you, spreading rumors and the nastiness about your business and your shady jewelry? But yet now you want to do the same thing on somebody else's business. Like, how does that work? Like, did you ever really clear up your issue first? And then Bronwyn, and she was just like, yeah, I did hear the same thing. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's fix the skeletons in your closet. Well, first of all, the skeletons can wait. Let's fix the fashion in your closet first before you want to jump in as well, Bronwyn. So then Angie K, Elemental P, she was like, wait a minute, Whitney. I heard the same thing about Lisa Barlow and her businesses, and it's kind of shady. what's going on? So then Britney, she jumps in it and she's like, what about me? I'm sorry, I just love that quote. She was just like, wait a minute. If anybody thought that you were gonna just come after Lisa and have nobody defend her, well, you're wrong because I'm here to defend her. And I'm like, whoa, relax. The actress, jumped out of her. So then she starts going at it with Whitney. And she was just like, Whitney, were you not upset with the same, issue that people coming at you saying the same thing about your business? And I'm like, well, Pamela Anderson, she does have a point. So then Ginger Spice, she was just like, first of all, who are you talking to like this? Like, no, what's your business, Britney, huh? Sucking dick? And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. How do we escalate from shady business to sucking dick? It's a good business, but damn, Whitney, we're just 20 minutes into the episode and already we got the SWAT team, strippers, women with trench coats with bikinis underneath, and now this? Like, this is just too much. Like, I thought this was a classy party, but they get into it. Eventually, they defuse everything. We show up to this camping site, and it just looks so suspicious. I'm looking around like, it's just, there's a bunch of trailer parks. I think I saw a Kim Zolciak at one point. It's just a mess. So they get out, we see a bunch of dry sandwiches, extra mayo. We see a dry salad. And Britney, she gives them all cameras. And I'm like, uh-oh. What is she about to ask them to do? For a second, I'm like, Britney, I feel she's the type to ask them, oh, let's make OF content. I feel like she will be the type to do that. But no, she was just like, oh no, this is just for memories. And I'm like, you freak. Eventually they sit down to eat these dry sandwiches, extra mayo. And, they're talking about Lisa again. And I'm like, well, it's been like 25 minutes and we're still discussing Lisa Barlow. And she's not even there. And then we see in a flashback, Lisa calling Angie K. And Lisa's just going off about Bronwyn, I believe. And she was just like, well, you know what? I don't really care about Bronwyn. And I'm not coming back to this show until I get a higher paycheck because Taco Bell is getting way too expensive and I need to feed my kids. I need to fix my husband. I love John. I love it. He's such a baby gorgeous. And I'm not coming back until I get a higher paycheck. I'm sorry, but I'm not. I'm not going to continuously be dragged on this show and my business. I'm just not doing that. I'm sorry. I love Taco Bell and a Kit Kat way too much for this. And I'm like, Lisa, relax. We'll see you next episode or episode 3. Like, relax. So then eventually they continue talking about Lisa, and Angie K makes this weird analogy, as Teresa Giudice likes to put it. And she was just like, I just feel like everything going on with Lisa Barlow and her being sued constantly is similar to what Jen Shah did. And I'm like, comparing Lisa Barlow to Jen, like, and there was a tweet that I saw that Jen Shah has been mentioned every single season since season 1 on this show. And we're already on season 6, and she hasn't been on, 3 seasons already? And she's still a main topic. There was another post that I saw that said that Jen Shah will always gloom like a shadow over this show. Like, she's never gonna go away. Like, she'll always be a thing on the show. And I also saw a video just now of Andy Cohen filming Watch What Happens Live, and he confirmed that he never wants to see Jen Shah back on this show. And I know what Jen Shah did was wrong. Yes, she scammed elderly people. Yes, it's wrong. I know. And call me morally corrupt Raphael. But I want to see Jen Shah back on the show. I'm just so curious how the dynamics will be. Will everybody still have this backbone against her, or will everybody just kind of like fall back? Specifically Heather, because Heather, she tells Angie, the fact that you're comparing her to Jen Shah's in jail where she's supposed to be. And I'm like, she's only in there for a couple of more months, or at least like less than a year. So, will Heather actually hold up this whole big bad bitch persona that she has going on? Because ever since Jen went to jail, all of a sudden Heather thinks that she's like, the baddest bitch. And she's not. I am. And she thinks that she runs this show, and she does not. Well, she kind of does, but not really. And I just want to see if she still has that same energy in front of Jen Shah. Are you going to confront Jen Shah about your black eye? I don't think so, but I guess we might never see that. But regardless, they continue talking about Lisa, and Heather's just like, well, you know what? If you do tell Lisa that we're having a discussion, I just pretend like I'm not here. Meredith, she jumps in it, and she was just like, well, you know what? I did hear about those rumors and the nastiness. I did hear about it. But you know what? Who are we to really judge Lisa like that, And then I believe Heather, she calls out Bronwyn. Well, Bronwyn, you're talking about Lisa, but you have your own issues with the, the jewelry, the necklace last season. And Bronwyn, yes, she admits finally, yeah, I shouldn't have lied about the jewelry, saying that I could afford it, that it was mine, that I brought it, because apparently that $4 million necklace that she got last season by her disrespectful husband, she never really got it because she can't afford it. And I'm like, ugh. And then she's admitting this on camera too. I would have just took it to the grave. Like, You know what? Yeah, it's in my closet. She was just like, yes, I lied. I was just doing it to protect myself and my image, and I shouldn't have done that. And I was trying to be, playful. And I'm like, oh, so you don't got it really like that with your money, huh? What did Lotto say? Brokey. Like, oh my goodness, I can't stand somebody who's broke. So then I believe Pamela Anderson, she gets up, and I'm like, here we go. Mary, she's already looking down like, I'm like, here we go. So then she starts making a toast. She's like, wait, I need to make an announcement. I have some big news. They're like, yes, Britney, what's going on? And Britney, she was just like, me and Jared Osmond, the guy that she kept going back and forth with last season, we're engaged. And I'm like, okay, so then we see a little video, right, of her showing off the ring. The ring was pretty big. It was pretty expensive, I think. So I'm like, okay, she's officially a wife. Maybe we see some potential, holding of a snowflake next season. But then she was just like, wait, I have another toast. So we called off the engagement. I'm like, Britney is a hot mess. I mean, Britney, come on now. Like, and then she also admits, well, even though, we called everything off, we're still seeing each other. And I'm like, you're seeing this man after you called off the whole, engagement. You probably gave him the ring back and you're still dealing with him. Like, how old are you again? Like, at some point, Britney, like, you need to grow up and stop with these games. Like, ugh. She don't love herself. So then the group splits up and we see Heather and Bronwyn, they go kayaking together because they still have issues to work out. And for the most part, they were cordial. Bronwyn, she was sitting on the back of the kayak. And if I was Bronwyn, I would have been paddling, right? And I would have accidentally whacked Heather in the back of the head like, oops, oh, I'm sorry, Heather. It's my first time kayaking. Just to get one more shot at her, even though we're cordial now. Meanwhile, everybody else, they're all fishing. And it was just so interesting watching everybody fish in, the luxury and the Fendi and the fur. And Mary, she's trying to tell the guy that's helping them, oh, can you bring the fish back to life after it's gone? The guy, he was just like, oh, you could go ask Dusty. Mary, she was just like, oh, you mean Gusty? No, Dusty. Gusty? Dusty. Gusty. Like, Mary is so cute. Meanwhile, Meredith, I'm like, Meredith, Earth to Meredith, I don't think she was really there. But, I was just looking at this like, what are we doing? Like, kayaking and fishing on the premiere episode? I mean, it's a very interesting way of doing things. But okay, they start cooking up or heating up, these meals, these struggle meals, weenies, hot dogs, bagels, bread, asparagus. I'm like, this is how the world is really going through it. Not only are we going through it financially, but the housewives too, like weenies, broke. But, the weenies did look good though. Angie K, she brings up a good point to Heather. She was just like, Heather, I wonder if you and Bronwyn would have gotten along if Lisa Barlow was here on this trip with us. What do you think? And Heather was just like, why would you even bring that up? And I'm like, she does make a good valid point because everybody always wants to kiss Lisa's ass and be her bestie for some reason. I'm not sure why. And specifically Heather, Heather, she loves to get cozy next to anybody who she thinks is like, cooler than her or whatever. So Heather was just like, well, I mean, me and Bronwyn, we still would have had the whole conversation, blah, 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 blah. No, you wouldn't, Heather. You would not have been friendly with Bronwyn, or at least cordial with her, if Lisa was still here. Whatever Lisa says, you'll do. So please save it. But good point. So eventually, I believe Britney, out of nowhere, she just brings up, I understand that we're talking about Lisa and everything, but I just don't understand, Whitney, why you, said that I was doing Jared for money. Like, it's actually scary how much me and Britney are alike because literally, like, just bring the whole conversation right back to me. Like, nobody's even talking about you, Britney, or your situation. Like, who is Jared? And then Whitney's looking at her like, wait, what? We're not talking about you and Jared. We're talking about Lisa Barlow. And we got to still talk about the new episode of Scooby-Doo I just watched last week. Like, can we talk about you later? And, Britney's not letting it go. She feels disrespected. And she was just like, it's just so crass. It's just so disrespectful, Whitney is such a hypocrite. Like, she was just like, well, you're the one bringing up all these, allegations about my business that are not even true. I had to let go of 30 employees. First of all, why do you have 30 employees, Whitney? Like to sell some jewelry from Shein, like you need 30 people? Like, I don't know, it's highly unbelievable. And she was just like, that's proven with facts. What Bronwyn said about Lisa Barlow, those are speculations that I'm just bringing up. And if Lisa was here, she could confide in us as friends. And I'm like, Whitney, you know you don't care about that. You're just trying to be messy and trying to get underneath Lisa's skin. Like you and Lisa are not cool. And you bringing up her issues or her allegations or her lawsuits, like, what does that say about you? But side note, so recently, right, I was on a flight, and somebody was waiting for the bathroom, right? And we were heading home and they look at me and they were like, you look kind of familiar. And I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. Here goes my past coming to haunt me, like whose man did I take back in the day? Like, and I was about to say, like, ma'am, like, please, I promise you, like, it was an accident. Like he came on to me, but then she was just like, wait a minute. Do you do YouTube? And I'm like, whew. I'm like, okay, so we won't be rumbling on this plane, right? I was scared for a second. I was just like, do I do YouTube? I was like, oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, what about it? And she was just like, she was trying to, match my face to a name. And she was just like, do you do videos on the Real Housewives? And I was just like, well, actually, yes, I do. Like, what about it? I was like, I'm Raphael. And she was just like, oh, I watch your videos. And I was just like, what? Like, we are like how many feet up in the air on an airplane, and somebody recognized me from YouTube. I'm like, that was crazy. Her name was Chelsea. She was so lovely. You were so sweet. You made my day. I wouldn't stop talking about it the next day to my mom and my sister. I called my sister right away. I was just like, look, I'm Beyonce. I'm like, people recognize me. People know me, so, act accordingly. And then I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, look, soon I'm going to have security and, paparazzi are going to be all around me. Like, it's just getting ridiculous. It's getting crazy. Too many people know me. But Chelsea, you were so sweet. And then we started discussing the Real Housewives, We started talking about Brit over on the Real Housewives of Atlanta and how much of a disappointment she was. But it was lovely meeting you. You literally made my day. But shout out to you. And again, thank you again for watching my videos and supporting me. So then she was just like, Meredith, I used to be your friend. Like, we used to be so close. And then you used me as a punching bag. Like, I just can't believe this. And Meredith is looking at her like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Britney? We were never friends. Like, we were never even like that. And she was just like, yes, we were. We talked on the phone. Remember, we talked on the phone. And Meredith is just like, what are you talking about? No, we talked on the phone once. Here goes Britney. No, we talked twice. I am telling you, this lady is crazy. Like, she is insane. And as Britney and Meredith are going back and forth, Britney starts walking slowly over to Whitney. And Whitney, this is how you know she has no survivor skills, because she's just looking around like, la, 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 la. Oh, is that a lightning bug? I love campfire. I wonder if we have any marshmallows. Like, do you not see Britney walking up to you right behind you and you're just sitting down? Like, you just had a one-on-one with her and she's upset and you don't even know what she's about to do to you or could do to you, right? If I was Whitney, absolutely not. The second that I see Britney even breathing or hovering around me, I'm flipping her over and hitting her in the face with a weenie. And maybe a bagel, like, oops, I'm sorry, Britney. Oh, you were just coming to hug me. Oh, I thought you were coming to, like, pull my new hair, my new orange hair or something. I'm sorry, let me help you up. Like, absolutely not, Britney. You don't do that. And Britney, she just leans over and she starts hugging Whitney. And Whitney's just looking at her like, can you get off me, please? I'm not really there with you right now. I'm not ready to hug. And I'm like, Britney. Like, so Britney walks away and she was just like, look, I know you're not ready, but that's just how I feel in my heart. And I'm like, Britney, like, okay. So then eventually Heather, she has this Caucasian idea of getting up and going to explore the woods at nighttime. Because she heard of the urban legend of some bitch, some lady, some girl named Molly. I don't know who the hell is Molly, but I know who La Llorona is, and I believe in all of that, and absolutely not. That's another reason why you would never catch me in the middle of the woods at nighttime with a group of white women, I thought. So they get up, they agree to go look for this lady, Mary, in the confessional. She was just like, in horror movies, typically the black characters die first, and Mary being the only black cast member on the show, I mean... Like, but no, they agreed to go, and explore the woods at night. Absolutely not. Like, and then you hear all this screaming in the background. You see Meredith. It reminded me of the scene from Scary Movie, the very first one. Where the woman, she's in the woods and they're making fun of the Blair Witch Project and just snot coming down her nose. I was just waiting for that to happen to Meredith. But, side note, so recently I filmed something for the Jennifer Hudson show. I say I filmed something as if I was the guest, right? I was in the audience. But still, I filmed for it, right? So I got a ticket to go see her. Why? Because my queen, not Beyonce, Beyonce's number one, but my other queen, Mariah Carey. And if you know my love for Mariah Carey, she was gonna be a guest, so I got a ticket for it, and she was gonna be a guest, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like, can I make it? Could I not? So I could make it, right? So I went, and I was in the audience, and they filmed the whole entire thing. Jennifer Hudson, before Mariah Carey came out, Jennifer Hudson, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar on TikTok or Twitter, they were making fun of her interviewing skills not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. It's all true. All those skits that you see on TikTok about her interviewing skills is all true. Like Jennifer Hudson, I mean, again, thank you for, having me on your show and everything. And I love her music, but those interviewing skills were just very like, like, do you even study your guests before they even get there? So Mariah Carey, she comes out and just so beautiful. I could not believe that she was like right in front of me. She was like right there. And I was just like, Mariah, I know she saw me because I think I was the only bald person in the crowd. So I think that, me and her locked eyes a couple of times or whatever. It's just a shame though, because I rushed to get there because I wasn't sure if I could have made it or not. And I didn't have an outfit to change into from what I was doing. So I just looked so raggedy. And they filmed the dancing section before Mariah came out. And, I went down and I was dancing and everything. But I was just like, okay, if this is shown on TV, I'm going to look crazy, right? Like I'm going to look a mess. But at least, I did everything I could to get camera time. So there's that. I'll be sitting on the left side of if you're watching the TV, I'll be on the left top corner. So hopefully, they get like some shots of me and stuff. I'm hoping for. Regardless, I was on the episode with Mariah Carey. It premieres September 30th. So, if you see me, well, I don't know if Jennifer Hudson sees this video and me talking shit about her interviewing skills, she's probably gonna edit me out completely. Like, but it was such a fun time. So shout out to you, Jennifer Hudson. Shout out to Mariah Carey. So there's another reason why I also haven't really been uploading anything in the last 2 months. I mentioned, in a video maybe a year ago that, I do suffer with depression, and I got a therapist, last year, and they have helped tremendously, like so much, like, to keep me grounded, to like just to have somebody to talk to who's not biased in any way. They don't really know me like that. And it has helped. I was skeptical at first, but it has helped tremendously this entire year. The whole year I've been like, grounded and, happy and not really stressing or worried or paranoid, or my anxiety hasn't really kicked in like that until about maybe 2 months ago. Those dark thoughts, trigger warning, by the way, trigger warning. Those dark thoughts have been slowly trying to creep back underneath my skin and into my mental health. And it's been hard fighting it off. It really has, because I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Before I used to see my therapist every week, but then we slowed it down to like maybe like once a month, once every 2 months, because I finally felt like, but then I think, not relapse in a way, I wouldn't say that, but I feel like I don't know what happened that it just like my defenses just kind of like started crumbling a little bit. And, I think I need to get a little bit more, just a little extra help, and it's okay to get help when it comes to mental health. You have to be okay, or else, your thoughts will just eat away at you. And they've been eating away at me recently. That's why, that's that. Everything's been going on, but again, I'm trying to better myself and stuff, and that's all you can do. And if anybody else is struggling with mental health issues or anything like that, it's okay to get help, and it's okay to not be okay. you know, and to work on that and stuff. And that's that. Let me know what you all think about this premiere episode. Did you miss Lisa Barlow? Do you think that the show could move forward without her? Or I don't think so, but let me know what you all thought about this whole premiere. And do you think that Britney deserves a snowflake? Or do you just find her annoying? Let me know down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.